Chinese forces sent obsolete Renault FT tanks and improvised armored cars into battle years before most armies deployed tanks. By the end of World War II, Chinese forces had deployed British Vickers light tanks, captured Japanese Chi-Ha medium tanks, American Sherman tanks, and Soviet T-26 tanks. Each arrival changed the odds in a war for national survival, and many vehicles mounted unfamiliar weapons or fought in unique configurations. These are every military vehicle used by Chinese forces in World War II and what made each one matter. Renault FT light tank, delivered in 1927. It was armed with a 37mm gun and had thin armor. Top speed 7 km per hour. Speed. Vickers Mark E Type AA light tank, supplied in the early 1930s. It mounted twin machine guns. Armor up to 13mm, Armor. Vickers Mark E Type B light tank, supplied in the early 1930s. It carried a 47mm cannon. Armor up to 13mm, Armor. CV-35 tankette from Italy, the bulk of Chinese armor in the late 1930s. Each carried twin 8mm machine guns, with only 8mm of armor. 101 were imported, Armor. Panzer I A light tank, supplied by Germany in 1937. It featured two 7.92mm machine guns and lacked anti-tank armament. 15 were delivered, armor about 13mm, Armor. These light vehicles set the stage for heavier imports as the war intensified. Type 22 armored car, built in China in the early 1930s for scouting and patrol, armed with a 7.7mm machine gun. Armor was thin, only a few millimeters thick. Shanghai Arsenal armored car, produced by Shanghai. Arsenal by 1930 using commercial truck chassis, fitted with machine guns for patrol and escort. Only 6 were built. SD KFZ 222 armored car, imported from Germany in 1936 for reconnaissance. Mounted a 20mm autocannon, top speed about 80 km per hour. BA-27 armored car, Soviet-supplied armored car used by Chinese forces. Equipped with a 37mm gun, armor up to 7mm thick. These wheeled vehicles provided mobility for scouting and convoy escort. By 1937, armored cars formed the core of Chinese mechanized reconnaissance units. They set the groundwork for later Soviet tank shipments. T-26 tank. It arrived from the Soviet Union in 1938 and gave Chinese forces their first modern medium armor. It mounted a 45mm gun and had up to 15mm of armor. 82 delivered, formed the backbone of the 200th Division Tank Regiment. BT-5 fast tank. 4 joined the unit, offering higher speed and similar firepower. It used a 45mm gun. Top speed around 72 km per hour. BA-10 armored car. Soviet BA-10 armored cars entered service. They were armed with a 45mm gun and had about 15mm of armor. They supported battles in Guangxi and Burma, where mobility and firepower were critical. Su-76 self-propelled gun. Late in the war, a small number arrived. They mounted a 76mm gun on a light-tracked chassis. They provided mobile artillery support. Soviet deliveries established the 45mm gun as the new standard for Chinese tanks. They set the stage for American-supplied vehicles that followed. M3A3 Stuart light tank arrived in 1944. It mounted a 37mm gun. Top speed, 58 km per hour. Over 116 were delivered to Chinese forces. M4A4 Sherman medium tank followed. It mounted a 75mm gun, armor up to 76mm thick. More than 60 Shermans arrived by 1945. M8 Greyhound armored car provided fast reconnaissance. It was armed with a 37mm cannon, top speed 90 km per hour. M3A1 White Scout car carried infantry across rough terrain. It was equipped with a 50 caliber machine gun. Universal Carrier provided light armored support from Britain. It was armed with a Bren gun and could carry 4 men. M2 and M3 half-tracks combined armor with off-road mobility. They served as troop transports and gun carriers. M18 Hellcat tank destroyer was introduced to Chinese units. It was armed with a 76mm gun and featured an open-topped turret. Top speed 89 kilometers per hour. LVT-4 amphibious vehicle enabled river crossings and landings. It was armed with a 12.7mm machine gun. These were all the vehicles used by Chinese forces in World War II. Type 94 Tankette. Type 94 Tankette, a light reconnaissance vehicle captured by Chinese forces late in the war. It carried a 6.5mm machine gun and had thin armor. 55 were recorded in Chinese hands by May 1946. Type 95 Ha-Go light tank. Type 95 Ha-Go light tank was seized and pressed into service. It mounted a 37mm gun and had up to 12mm of armor. 117 were listed in post-war inventories. Type 97 Chi-Ha medium tank. Type 97 Chi-Ha medium tank was captured and used by Chinese units. Some were upgraded to the Shinhoto variant with a 47mm gun. Chi-Ha self-propelled gun conversions. A small number of captured Chi-Ha tanks were converted into self-propelled guns. Crews replaced the original turrets with larger cannons. Captured vehicles in service. Captured vehicles received quick repairs and new markings for use in final campaigns against Japanese holdouts. Improvised armored trucks. They used commercial truck chassis with homemade steel plating. They often mounted machine guns or small cannons. At least 63 were recorded by the end of the war. Type 95 Soki rail scout car. Captured and repurposed for armored mobility on rail lines with a light machine gun. Soviet BA-6 armored car. Armed with a 45mm gun and up to 9mm of armor, it supported reconnaissance and convoy protection. Field-built and captured vehicles added flexibility to Chinese units in the final campaigns. Today, surviving World War II German vehicles stand as reminders of industrial ambition and lasting impact. Their designs still influence military engineering worldwide. The legacy remains complex, visible, and impossible to ignore.